I turned 33 on a Tuesday in November, which should tell you everything you need to know about how my family felt about birthdays. Tuesday, not a weekend. Not even a Friday where you could pretend it mattered. Just a regular, unremarkable Tuesday that happened to be the day I was born. But Grandpa Harrison insisted. He always did. Evelyn deserves a proper celebration, he'd said over the phone 3 weeks prior, his voice still strong despite his 89 years. The whole family, my house, no excuses. So there we were, me, my mother Patricia, my older brother Derek, my younger sister Natalie, and Grandpa Harrison in his sprawling colonial in Greenwich. The house smelled like old money and lemon polish, the way it always had. Crystal chandeliers, Persian rugs, family portraits going back 6 generations. All those stern faces watching us pretend to be something we weren't. I'd driven up from my studio apartment in Brooklyn, the one with the radiator that clanged all night and the neighbor who practiced trumpet at AM. I worked as a grant writer for a nonprofit that helped formerly incarcerated women find housing. The pay was terrible. The work was everything. My mother opened the door before I could knock. Her perfectly highlighted hair swept into that effortless style that probably took an hour and $200 to achieve. She was 58 but could pass for 45 in the right light, which she made sure to always stand in. "You're late," she said. Not hello, not happy birthday, just disappointment, packaged into words. Traffic on the we're already having cocktails. She turned away, her heels clicking on the marble floor. I followed her into the living room where Grandpa Harrison sat in his leather armchair, the one that had molded to his shape over decades. He was smaller than I remembered from childhood, when he'd seemed like a giant who could solve any problem with a phone call or a checkbook. Now he was just an old man with kind eyes and hands that trembled slightly when he lifted his scotch. But those eyes, they lit up when he saw me. "There's my girl." He tried to stand, and I rushed over, gently pressing him back into his seat. "Stay put, Grandpa. I'll come to you." I kissed his papery cheek, and he squeezed my hand with surprising strength. 33 years ago today, I became the richest man in Connecticut. Not because of my investments, because I got you. My mother made a small sound, something between a cough and a scoff. She was at the bar cart, refreshing her wine. Her third glass, by my count, and dinner wasn't even served yet. Derek was on the couch, scrolling through his phone, barely acknowledging my arrival. He ran a hedge fund in Manhattan, made more in a month than I made in a year, and never let anyone forget it. His wife Chelsea sat beside him, also on her phone, probably updating her Instagram story about slumming it at a family dinner. Natalie gave me a half wave from the window seat. She was the youngest at 29, worked in fashion PR, and had perfected the art of being present without actually being there. Physically in the room, emotionally in another universe. "Evelyn, darling, scotch?" Grandpa Harrison gestured to the decanter beside him. "Just water for me, thanks." My mother's voice cut through the room. "Of course. Can't afford to drink the good stuff when you're living paycheck to paycheck." The words landed like they always did, sharp, precise, designed to wound. I'd developed calluses over the years, but they still stung. "Patricia." Grandpa Harrison's voice carried warning. "What?" "I'm simply stating facts. Evelyn made her choices. That little apartment in Brooklyn, that charity job that barely pays rent. We all make choices." I took a deep breath, counted to 5. This was the pattern. My mother poked. I deflected. Grandpa Harrison intervened, and we all pretended we were a functional family. Rinse, repeat, survive. Dinner was served in the formal dining room, rack of lamb, roasted vegetables, potatoes au gratin prepared by Grandpa's cook, Mrs. Chen, who'd been with him for 40 years. The food was exquisite. The conversation was excruciating. Derek talked about his latest acquisition, some tech startup in Austin. Chelsea talked about their upcoming trip to the Maldives. Natalie talked about a fashion week party where she'd met someone who knew someone who'd dated a Hemsworth. My mother nodded along, proud of her successful children, the ones who'd made something of themselves. I ate my lamb and said nothing. "And what about you, Evelyn?" Grandpa Harrison asked, genuine interest in his voice. "How's work?" Good. Really good, actually. We just got a grant to expand our housing program. We'll be able to help 50 more women next year. How wonderful, Grandpa said. How much does that pay? My mother asked. The grant writing? Mom, I'm curious. You've been doing it for what? 5 years now. 7. 7 years. And you're still in that studio apartment. Still taking the subway. Still, she paused, choosing her words carefully. Struggling. I'm not struggling. I'm living within my means. Means that could be so much more if you'd just Patricia. Grandpa Harrison set down his fork with deliberate force. Not tonight. Please. We finished dinner in brittle silence. Mrs. Chen brought out a birthday cake chocolate with raspberry filling, my favorite since childhood. Grandpa Harrison remembered. He always did. They sang happy birthday. Voices off key and unenthusiastic except for Grandpa's warbling bass. I blew out the candles. Made a wish. The usual lie we tell ourselves on birthdays that this year will be different. That's when everything changed. We'd moved back to the living room. Cake plates balanced on knees, when Grandpa Harrison turned to me with that smile of his. The one that crinkled his eyes at the corners. So tell me, Evelyn, how do you spend your trust fund? I've always been curious. You're so private about your finances. The room went utterly silent. I laughed, thinking it was a joke. What trust fund? His smile faltered. Your trust fund, darling. The 3.4 million I set up for you when you were born. Well, it's grown since then, probably closer to 4 million now with the investments I chose. You've had full access since you turned 25. The cake plate slipped from my hands. I didn't hear it shatter on the floor. Grandpa, I don't have a trust fund. He looked confused, then concerned. His eyes moved to my mother. Patricia? My mother's face had gone white, then red, then something beyond color, a complexion that spoke of panic and fury battling for dominance. Her wine glass trembled in her hand. Mom? My voice sounded far away, like I was hearing myself from underwater. Mom, what is he talking about? Harrison, this isn't the time. What trust fund? I stood up, my legs somehow supporting me despite feeling like water. I've been eating ramen 3 nights a week. I haven't bought new clothes in 2 years. I had to choose between fixing my car and going to the dentist last month. I chose the car. What? Trust fund. Grandpa Harrison was standing now too, moving faster than I'd seen him move in years. He went to his study, came back with a folder. His hands were shaking as he opened it, pulled out documents. Here, the trust documents. Signed when you were 6 months old. $3.4 million, invested conservatively, to be given to you with full access at 25. You're 33, Evelyn. You should have had access for 8 years. I took the papers. My name was there. My social security number. Signatures. Legal language I could barely process because my brain was screaming too loud. The statements are sent quarterly, Grandpa continued, his voice growing harder. To your mother's address as designated by the trustee. Patricia, you're the trustee until Evelyn reaches 25, then full control transfers. These statements show regular withdrawals, large ones. He looked at his daughter. What have you done? My mother stood, her composure cracking like ice in spring. You have no idea what you're talking about. You're confused, Dad. You're almost 90. And you're confused. My mind is sharp as it's ever been. He turned to Derek. Get my lawyer on the phone. Now. Derek didn't move. He was looking at his mother with something I'd never seen before, comprehension. Pieces clicking into place. Derek, my mother said sharply. Don't you dare, Mom. His voice was quiet. Mom, what did you do? I was still standing there, holding papers that said I was a millionaire while my phone had $17 in its checking account. Nothing made sense. The room was tilting. Evelyn, sit down. Grandpa Harrison guided me to his chair. Derek, call James, my attorney. His number is in my phone. Everyone just stop. My mother's voice was shrill now. Stop acting like I've committed some crime. That money was for Evelyn's future, and I used it to secure her future. I'm the trustee. I had every right. You had a fiduciary duty, Grandpa Harrison said, each word precise and sharp. That money was not yours. Where did it go? I asked. My voice sounded hollow. Where's my money? My mother's laugh was bitter. Where do you think? Derek's business school tuition 160,000. Natalie's apartment down payment 200,000. My divorce lawyer when your father left 350,000. The country club memberships, the cars, the vacations, the lifestyle you all benefited from. I never benefited, I whispered. I worked 3 jobs through college. You told me there was no money for tuition. I have 70,000 in student loans. I didn't go on vacations. I didn't. My throat closed. You were always so self-righteous, my mother spat. So proud of doing it on your own, being independent. Well, you got what you wanted. You got to be the martyr. Patricia. Grandpa Harrison's voice broke. You stole from your own daughter. I borrowed. I was going to pay it back. When? You've had 8 years. Silence. Derek had gone pale. Mom, my business school. You told me that was from your inheritance from Grandma. And Natalie's apartment, Natalie added, her voice small. You said Dad helped. I did what I had to do to maintain our standard of living, my mother said, defensive now. After your father left, after he abandoned us with nothing, he didn't leave you with nothing, Grandpa Harrison said quietly. He left you with the house, half his retirement, alimony for 10 years, and you had your trust fund. The 1 million I gave you when you were born, which should have been enough if you'd managed it properly. 1 million doesn't go as far as you think it does if you don't spend it all in 5 years on things you don't need. I was still processing. My mother had stolen nearly $4 million from me. My siblings had benefited, and I'd been living in poverty, voluntary poverty. I'd thought noble poverty while my own money paid for their lives. The betrayal was so massive I couldn't fit it inside my body. It leaked out as tears. Silent and hot. Evelyn, honey, my mother reached for me. I jerked away. Don't touch me. You don't understand. I was going to pay it back. Once Derek's fund started paying dividends, once Natalie's career took off, I was going to make it right. You've had 8 years. You've taken every opportunity to make me feel small, unsuccessful, disappointing. You've let me struggle. You told me tonight to stop relying on the family when I've never relied on anyone. My voice was rising. You watched me choose between car repairs and dental work, and you said nothing. You stole my future, and you blamed me for not having one. I gave you character, she said, and the audacity of it stole my breath. You gave me trauma. Grandpa Harrison was on the phone with his attorney. I heard snatches, embezzlement, breach of fiduciary duty, criminal charges. My mother heard them too. Her face changed, fear replacing defiance. Dad, you wouldn't. I'm your daughter, and she's my granddaughter. The one who visits every Sunday. The one who reads to me. The one who actually cares, not because of what I have, but because of who I am. His voice was steel. You will return every penny, Patricia. Every single penny with interest. Or I will press charges, and I will make sure you face the full consequences of what you've done. The money's gone. I don't have it. Then you'll sell the house, the car, the jewelry. Derek and Natalie can return what they received. You'll make it right, or you'll go to prison. The room erupted. Derek arguing, Natalie crying, my mother screaming about family loyalty and ungrateful children. I sat in Grandpa Harrison's chair, the leather still warm from his body, and watched my family destroy itself. No. Watch my family reveal what it had always been. The destruction had happened years ago. I was just finally seeing it. I didn't go back to Brooklyn that night. I couldn't. Grandpa Harrison had his driver take my mother, Derek, and Natalie home separately, at his insistence. He didn't want them coordinating stories. I stayed in my childhood bedroom, the one I'd occupied during summer visits, with its floral wallpaper and twin bed and view of the garden where I'd played as a little girl. I didn't sleep. I lay in the dark and did math. 8 years of access. If I'd known at 25, I could have paid off my student loans immediately. 70. Oh, gone in an instant. I could have afforded that surgery my dentist recommended for 500 I'd been putting off for 3 years. I could have helped my friend Marcus when his mom got sick, instead of watching him start a GoFundMe that barely covered her medication. I could have donated to the nonprofit I work for, the one that's always scrambling for funding, always choosing which women to help because we can't help them all. I could have lived really lived. Not the constant calculation of every dollar, every purchase, every choice, but more than that, and this hurt worse. I could have stopped feeling like a failure, like the disappointment, like the one who didn't measure up. Every snide comment from my mother about my little apartment and charity job, every comparison to Derek's success and Natalie's glamorous life, every family gathering where I felt small and less than, all of it built on a lie, built on money that was mine, used by them, while they judged me for not having it. Around 3 in the morning, I heard footsteps in the hallway. A soft knock. "Come in, Grandpa." He opened the door, looked almost sheepish. "Saw your light on. Figured you weren't sleeping either. Did you know?" I asked. "Before tonight?" He sat heavily on the edge of the bed, suddenly looking every one of his 89 years. "No, God help me, no. I thought you were just principled. You always were, even as a little girl. Insisted on earning your own allowance, wouldn't take money for good grades like the other grandchildren. I thought you were accessing the trust but choosing to live simply. I was proud of you for it. She let you think that?" "Yes." His voice cracked. "My own daughter. I don't understand how she could." I sat up, reached for his hand. It was thin and cold, and I held it carefully, like holding something precious that might break. "When did you set up the trusts? For all of us?" "When each of you was born. Equal amounts. I wanted you all to have security, opportunity. I grew up poor, Evelyn. Dirt poor. Made my money in real estate and stocks, and I never forgot what it felt like to go hungry. I wanted better for my grandchildren. You gave that to Derek and Natalie. I wanted to give it to you." We sat in silence for a moment. Then I asked the question that had been burning in my chest. "Why was Mom the trustee? Why not you?" He sighed. "Patricia begged for it. Said she knew you better. Could guide you better. And I trusted her. She's my daughter. I trusted her. I need to see all the statements. Every withdrawal. I need to know exactly where my money went. James is pulling everything together. We'll have it by tomorrow afternoon. And then what?" Grandpa Harrison's jaw tightened. "Then we get your money back. All of it." "What if we can't? What if it's really gone?" "Then I'll replace it from my own accounts." "Grandpa, no, Evelyn. I'm 89 years old. I have more money than I could spend in 3 lifetimes. What am I saving it for? This is my fault. I should have checked. I should have made sure you knew. I should have protected you." I started crying then. Really crying. The kind of crying that comes from somewhere deep and wounded. He held me like he used to when I was small and had scraped my knee or lost a spelling bee. His shirt smelled like Old Spice and peppermint, the same as always. I thought I was doing it right. I sobbed. I thought living simply, working for something meaningful instead of just money, I thought that made me good. "You are good. This doesn't change that. But I've been so tired, Grandpa. So tired of struggling. And I felt guilty for being tired because I chose this, right? I chose the nonprofit job, the small apartment. Except I didn't choose it. It was chosen for me. By someone who then judged me for it. He held me tighter." I know, sweetheart." We stayed like that until dawn started lightening the sky. Then he went to make coffee, and I took a shower in the bathroom I'd use as a teenager. And we pretended we were okay enough to face another day. James Whitmore, Grandpa Harrison's attorney, arrived at 10 a.m. with a briefcase full of documents and an expression that said he'd seen a lot in 40 years of practice, but this was bad. We sat in Grandpa's study, mahogany and leather and law books that had probably cost more than my annual salary. "Before we begin," James said, looking at me with kind but serious eyes, "I need to make sure you understand what pursuing this means. Patricia is your mother. This will fracture your family, possibly permanently. There will be lawyers, possibly criminal charges, definitely publicity. The Greenwich papers will love this story: wealthy family, embezzlement, betrayal. Are you prepared for that?" I thought about every Sunday I'd driven up here, how my mother usually didn't even say hello, how she'd forgotten my birthday 3 years running, how she'd told me last Thanksgiving that my lifestyle was an embarrassment to the family name. "She fractured us a long time ago," I said. I was just too busy trying to hold the pieces together to notice. James nodded, opened his briefcase. "Then let's see what we're dealing with. The statements painted a picture that got uglier with each page. The first withdrawal came 6 months after I turned 2550, labeled educational expenses, then more, in amounts ranging from $15,000 to $250,000 every few months for 8 years. This one, James pointed to a $250,000 withdrawal from 18 months ago. What was this for? That's when Mom bought the beach house in the Hamptons, I said quietly. She told everyone she'd saved for years. More pages. More withdrawals. Derek's business school had cost $160,000, but there were other payments, $280, labeled business startup costs. Derek's hedge fund, I realized. Natalie's apartment down payment, but also $45,000 for wardrobe and professional development. My mother's divorce attorney, but also payments to plastic surgeons, luxury retailers, car dealerships. Total withdrawn $3.8 million, James said. With the expected growth, if the money had remained invested, you should have approximately $4.3 million right now. Instead, you have zero. The number was so absurd I almost laughed. $4.3 million. I'd been agonizing over a $300 cell phone bill last month. What can we recover? Grandpa Harrison asked. Depends on what's left. The house Patricia owns is worth maybe $1.2 million with the current mortgage. Her investment accounts, James checked his notes, approximately $80,000. Derek's hedge fund, we'd need a forensic accountant to determine what portion came from the stolen money versus his own capital. Same with Natalie's apartment and assets. We're probably looking at recovering half, maybe 60% if we're aggressive. Be aggressive, Grandpa Harrison said. Harrison. James's voice was gentle. This will destroy Patricia financially. She'll lose the house, the lifestyle. And Derek and Natalie, they'll have to pay back money they didn't know was stolen. This will devastate them. They'll survive, Grandpa said flatly. My granddaughter has been surviving on nothing while they lived on her money. They'll learn what that feels like. I found my voice. I want to talk to them first. Derek and Natalie, they didn't know. I don't want to. I stopped. What didn't I want? To hurt them? They'd benefited from my stolen money for years and never questioned why I was struggling. They'd let my mother mock me at family dinners and never once defended me, but they were still my siblings. Somewhere under all this, we'd been children together. I want a chance to talk to them before lawyers get involved. I finished. Evelyn, that's not advisable, James said. Anything they say could be used to. I don't care about using it against them. I just want them to understand. Grandpa Harrison studied my face, then nodded. Set it up. But I'm present. And if they get hostile, James comes in. Derek arrived first, alone. Chelsea was busy with a client meeting, he said, but I suspected she just didn't want to be part of this mess. He looked like he hadn't slept either. His usual polish dimmed. Evie, he said, using the nickname he hadn't used since we were kids. I didn't know. You have to believe me, do I? He flinched. Mom told me the money for business school was from Grandma's inheritance. She showed me paperwork, said it was all handled. I never questioned it. You never questioned why I was working 3 jobs while you went to Wharton? Why I was eating ramen while you were joining eating clubs? I thought you chose that. You always talked about living simply, about not being materialistic. I thought it was your thing. My thing, I repeated. My thing was surviving while you used my money. That's not fair. My voice rose. Fair? You've been running a hedge fund built partially on stolen money while I've been choosing between groceries and electricity, and you want to talk about fair? Natalie arrived in the middle of my outburst, her eyes red from crying. She looked younger than 29, vulnerable in a way I'd never seen her. I brought this, she said quietly, holding out an envelope. The deed to my apartment. It's worth more now than Mom's down payment, probably $350,000 in equity. I can sell it. Give you the proceeds. I stared at her. I know it's not enough, she continued, words spilling out. I know nothing I do will be enough. But Evie, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I should have questioned it. I should have asked why you were struggling. I should have. She broke down, sobbing. Derek stood frozen, watching his little sister cry, and something in his face crumbled. The hedge fund, he said. The money mom gave me for startup capital, call it $80,000. It's grown to about 1.2 million in assets under management. I'll liquidate my holdings. Give you everything. That's your career, I said. Built on money that should have paid for yours. We stood in Grandpa Harrison's study. 3 siblings who'd barely known each other. And for the first time in years, maybe ever, we saw each other clearly. Mom said you didn't need the money, Natalie said quietly. She said you had some kind of principle against trusts, that you'd refused yours. I believed her because it was easier than believing she'd lie. She's our mother, Derek added. We're supposed to be able to trust our mother. Grandpa Harrison spoke from his chair by the window. Your mother is an addict, not to drugs or alcohol, to status, to appearing wealthy. She spent her entire trust fund in 5 years, then started on Evelyn's. She's sick, but that doesn't make what she did less destructive. What happens now? Derek asked. James laid it out. Criminal charges were possible but unlikely if full restitution was made. Civil suit was certain. Asset seizure, loan repayments, potentially bankruptcy for Patricia if she didn't cooperate. Derek and Natalie would be named as unintentional recipients of stolen property and would need to return what they'd received. I'll sell the apartment, Natalie said immediately, and I'll liquidate the fund, Derek added. But that still won't cover everything. Mom's house, I said. She has to sell it. She'll fight, Derek warned. Let her fight. I'm done making this easy for her. That's when my mother burst through the door, not waiting to be announced, her face a mask of righteous fury. You turned your own siblings against me? Your own mother? You stole from me. I provided for this family. With my money. She was screaming now. You ungrateful, selfish girl. After everything I've done, everything I've sacrificed, what have you sacrificed? The question came out cold calm. I was done yelling. Specifically, tell me one thing you sacrificed for me. She sputtered, and in her silence, I heard the truth. She'd sacrificed nothing. She'd taken everything and called it love. You're going to sell your house, I said. You're going to liquidate every account. You're going to return every penny you stole with interest. Or Grandpa Harrison presses charges and you go to prison. Those are your options. Harrison, you can't let her do this to me. I'm your daughter. Grandpa Harrison looked at her with something I'd never seen before, disappointment so profound it was almost pity. You stopped being my daughter the moment you stole from my granddaughter. Now you're just a thief I happen to be related to. My mother left threatening lawyers, threatening to burn the family down, threatening everything except the one thing that might have mattered, an apology. Derek and Natalie stayed. We sat together in that study, 3 people who'd grown up in the same house but different worlds, and began the hard work of figuring out who we actually were to each other. The legal process took 8 months. 8 months of depositions and negotiations, and my mother's lawyer trying every tactic to reduce her liability. 8 months of tabloid stories, Greenwich Society matron accused of embezzling daughter's trust fund. 8 months of watching my mother's world collapse. She sold the house. It went for $1.3 million after paying off the mortgage. She liquidated her accounts. She sold the jewelry, the car, the furniture. She moved into a small apartment in Stamford, the kind of place she'd once have called beneath her. Natalie sold her apartment. Derek liquidated his fund, paid back every investor with apologies and explanations. They moved in together temporarily, roommates in a 2-bedroom in Queens, both starting over in their 30s. In the end, we recovered $2.8 million. Not all of it. Not even most of what it should have been worth. But enough. James helped me set up proper accounts, diversified investments. I kept my job at the nonprofit, actually negotiated a better salary, armed with the security of knowing I didn't need the money but wanted to do the work. I moved out of the studio apartment into a modest 2-bedroom in Park Slope with a spare room for guests and sunlight that made me cry the first morning I woke up there. But I didn't change everything. That was important to me. I still took the subway, still shopped at Trader Joe's, still lived simply, but now it was a choice. A real one. The difference? I stopped feeling guilty about struggling because I wasn't struggling anymore. And I stopped feeling like I had to prove something because I'd already proven everything that mattered. The nonprofit got an anonymous donation, $5,000. We expanded our program, hired 3 new counselors, Helped 200 women find housing that year instead of 50. My boss asked if I knew who the donor was, and I just smiled. Marcus's mom got the treatment she needed. Again, anonymous donor. She sent a thank you card to the nonprofit, and I pinned it to my cubicle wall. I paid off my student loans in one payment. Clicked submit on the final $70,000 and watched the balance go to zero. Then I sat at my kitchen table and cried for an hour, mourning all the years I'd carried that weight. My mother never apologized. She left angry voicemails about ungrateful children and family betrayal. She told relatives I'd ruined her life. She painted herself as the victim so consistently that some people believed her. I blocked her number after 6 months. Self-preservation isn't selfish. Derek and Natalie, though they showed up. Derek got a job at a smaller firm, started rebuilding. Natalie switched from fashion PR to nonprofit work, said she wanted to do something that mattered. We had dinner every Sunday, the three of us, trying to build something real from the ruins of what we'd pretended to be. I keep thinking about all the times Mom put you down, Natalie said one night over Thai food. And I just sat there. I let her. We both did, Derek added. We benefited from the lie. You didn't know, I said. We should have asked. We should have questioned why you were struggling while we were comfortable. We were willfully blind because the truth was uncomfortable. They were right. But what good was blame now? We were all complicit them in their ignorance. Me in my silence, my mother in her theft. The only way forward was through honesty. I need you to know something, I told them. I'm not doing this to punish you. But I can't pretend we're okay when we're not. We're building something new. It's going to take time. We have time, Natalie said. All the time we need. Derek agreed. Grandpa Harrison died 6 months after my birthday. Peacefully, in his sleep, Mrs. Chen found him in the morning still in his chair with a book open on his lap. He was 9 years old. His will left equal shares to all 3 grandchildren, Derek, Natalie, and me. One final statement that we were equally valued, equally loved. My mother got nothing. He'd rewritten his will the week after my birthday revelation. Left her a letter instead of an inheritance. I found the letter in his papers when we were cleaning out the house. He'd left instructions for me to read it if I wanted. I almost didn't. Almost let it stay sealed. Let him and my mother work out their relationship in whatever afterlife exists. But in the end, curiosity won. Patricia, I've tried to understand. Tried to find the moment where you became someone who could steal from her own child, watch her struggle, and feel nothing. I keep coming back to your childhood. Did I fail you somehow? Did I make you so hungry for status that you'd sacrifice integrity for it? Or maybe this isn't about me at all. Maybe you made choices, year after year, each one taking you further from the person you could have been. Maybe you woke up one day and didn't recognize yourself anymore, and it was easier to keep going than to face what you'd become. I'm leaving you nothing because you already took what wasn't yours. But more than that, I'm leaving you nothing because maybe, finally, you'll learn what Evelyn knew all along. You don't need money to have value. You just need integrity. I loved you. I always loved you. But I can't enable you anymore. Dottie folded the letter back into its envelope, filed it with his other papers. It wasn't forgiveness. It wasn't closure. It was just truth. Honest and painful. We scattered his ashes in the garden where I'd played as a child. Derek, Natalie, and me. Mrs. Chen and James Whitmore. Some of Grandpa's old friends from the club. My mother didn't come. She'd been invited but said she couldn't bear the hypocrisy. I think she meant us. We were the hypocrites for mourning him while destroying the family. She never quite grasped that she'd destroyed it herself. Years ago, one theft at a time, after the service, we went back to what had been Grandpa's house now being prepared for sale, the estate divided 3 ways. We sat in the garden with glasses of his scotch, even though none of us particularly liked scotch. It felt right somehow, honoring him that way. I've been thinking, Derek said, swirling the amber liquid in his glass, about what kind of person I want to be. Not what kind of success I want to have, what kind of person, and Natalie prompted. I want to be someone who asks questions, who doesn't take the easy answer when the truth matters. I want to be brave, Natalie added. Like Evie, she stood up for herself even when it meant losing everything. They both looked at me, and I felt the weight of their expectation. They wanted wisdom, wanted me to say something profound about healing or forgiveness or family, but I was still figuring it out myself. I don't think I'm brave, I said finally. I think I was just tired of being small. And maybe that's what bravery is, not the absence of fear, but being more tired of the fear than afraid of the change. We sat in silence as the sun set over the garden. Three people who'd inherited money and trauma in equal measure, trying to figure out which parts to keep and which to let go. That was 2 years ago. Today, I'm 35. It's a Friday this time. I've learned to insist on weekend birthdays. Derek and Natalie are coming over to my apartment tonight. We're cooking dinner together, something we've started doing monthly. Derek's teaching me about wine. Natalie's teaching me about fashion. I'm teaching them about nonprofits and grant writing. And Derek's been consulting for us pro bono, helping with our investment strategy. We're not fixed. We're probably never going to be the kind of siblings who finish each other's sentences or know each other's coffee orders without asking. Too much time was lost. Too much damage done. But we're real now. That's something. My mother sent a birthday card this year. The first contact in 18 months. Inside, just one line. I hope you're happy now. No apology. No acknowledgement. Just passive-aggressive hurt disguised as a wish. I threw it away and didn't feel guilty about it. That's growth. The money sits in accounts I check monthly but don't obsess over. I've learned it's just a tool. It can provide security, opportunity, freedom. But it can't buy back lost years or heal old wounds. It can't make my mother love me the way I needed to be loved. It can't undo the damage of being made to feel worthless while secretly being a millionaire. What it can do. I bought Mrs. Chen a house when she retired. Small place in Queens near her daughter. She cried when I gave her the keys, said she'd been saving for 30 years and never thought she'd own something. Mr. Harrison would be so proud of you, she said. And I believed her. The nonprofit I work for, I'm on the board now, and we've expanded to 3 cities. We helped 847 women last year find housing, job training, childcare support. Every single one of them is a small rebellion against the idea that struggling means failing. I date sometimes. Still figuring out how to trust people with the whole story, the poverty I thought I chose, the wealth I never knew I had, the family that fell apart like a house built on sand. It's a lot for a third date conversation, but I'm learning that the right person won't run from complexity. They'll lean in, ask questions, want to understand. Last month, I went back to Greenwich, drove past my mother's old house, new family living there now, kids' bikes on the lawn. Drove past Grandpa's house, also sold, the garden probably changed or paved over. Drove past the country club where my mother used to drag us for Easter brunch. Everyone dressed perfectly, everyone pretending. I didn't feel angry. I didn't feel sad. I felt free. That 33-year-old woman who walked into her grandfather's house on a Tuesday birthday, who had no idea her entire life was about to explode. I have compassion for her now. She was doing her best with what she knew. Living with integrity even when it hurt. Choosing meaning over money, even when she didn't know the choice had been stolen from her. She deserved better than what she got. But she survived it. She fought back. She rebuilt. And now, at 35, I know something I didn't know then. You can't control what people take from you, but you can control what you do with what's left. My grandfather used to say he became the richest man in Connecticut the day I was born. I understand now what he meant. Not because of money, because of what money represents. Investment, belief, hope for the future. He invested in me when I was 6 months old. And again every Sunday when I came to read to him. And one final time when he fought for me at 89 years old. Even though it meant destroying his relationship with his daughter. That's the inheritance that matters. Not the $2.8 million in accounts or the real estate or the stocks. The belief that I was worth fighting for, worth protecting, worth the truth. No matter how ugly. I keep a photo of Grandpa Harrison on my bookshelf, him in his garden, sun on his face, that smile that made me feel safe. Next to it, a photo from last month. Derek, Natalie, and me at a nonprofit fundraiser, all of us dressed up, all of us genuinely smiling. We're not the family we were supposed to be. We're not the perfect Greenwich family with the big house and the trust funds and the pretense of happiness. We're something better. We're honest. And on nights like tonight, when I look around my apartment, the home I chose, paid for with money that was always mine, filled with furniture I picked because I liked it, not because it impressed anyone, I feel something I never felt in that studio in Brooklyn. Not just security, not just comfort. Peace. The kind of peace that comes from knowing exactly who you are, what you're worth, and what you're willing to accept. The kind that says, I am enough. I have always been enough. And anyone who made me feel otherwise was wrong. My mother took 8 years from me. 8 years of unnecessary struggle, unnecessary shame, unnecessary smallness, but she didn't take the rest of my life. She doesn't get that. The rest belongs to me, and I'm going to spend it well.